Often poorly diagnosed troubles and disabilities are misunderstood by society. In many countries, autistic children are still seldom and sometimes not at all supported by the educational system. This is how in Cameroon, Franck has already repeated the third grade twice, which he experiences as a frustrating failure. His story is emblematic of the daily challenges faced by many individuals with disabilities and their families in Africa. Some decide to hide away, while others, like Franck, have chosen to fight. Our correspondent Maxime Farrel Bounya met with this 20-year-old and his family. Take a look. This morning, Franck is in a bad mood. The 9th grade student has once again failed the BEPC, the Junior Secondary School Diploma. He is discouraged by this result as he had firmly believed in his chances of success until the very last minute. After seeking solutions by going to the relevant institutions for his problem and receiving promises for better consideration, he wonders if his concerns are truly heard and if his exam papers are even being properly graded.
It really hurts. In 3 years, I have not been able to obtain a diploma.
At birth, doctors diagnosed Franck with fetal distress, affecting his brain and causing motor and cognitive disorders. Since then, the lack of a precise diagnosis has led some to consider him autistic. One of the few institutions that took Franck in was Saint-Augustin High School, where he integrated well. However, his principal feels powerless in the face of administrative delays that hinder true inclusion. After initiating several administrative procedures between the ministry and various delegations and knocking on many doors, Franck's case is stalled. As a result, nothing is moving forward and the failures keep piling up.
The government, through the Ministry of Secondary Education, must take these cases into account to prevent school dropout, which is happening in families. At a certain point, children like this are not considered. There is a lack of inclusion in society, which leads to these children being somewhat abandoned and not having the same opportunities as others. It is a form of injustice.
In Cameroon, around 10% of the population lives with a disability. Their daily life is filled with obstacles, especially in education. Few disabled children are enrolled in school due to a lack of resources and suitable facilities. Teachers, often poorly trained, struggle to address the specific needs of these students. Unlike many others, Franck benefits from the support of people who accept him without discrimination, for whom his disability is not an obstacle to his activities.
He is a loving kid, someone who knows how to advise others, how to provide guidance, and who accepts everyone as they are. He doesn't discriminate against anyone. He doesn't focus on people's flaws, but only on their qualities and the good side of life. He truly has a joy for living.
He is a very funny person. And he also has mental strength. Despite his failures, he always tries to move forward. In fact, he is a very sociable person.
Franck draws his strength from his family, especially from his father, who has always been his pillar. His father has taken it upon himself to compensate for the shortcomings of the educational system and to provide his son with the support he needs. Every day since his birth, he takes the time to talk with his son about his difficulties and his life.
Every evening, when I came home, I would spend at least 2 hours with him. It's a routine. I do my best to help him adapt to all the movements. I work with Franck every day, talking to him, doing exercises with him, showing him all the affection in the world, and making sure he knows that he is the best.
His family is not the only one that has pushed him to overcome his disability. Franck talks to us about a school called Sesame Creera, the primary school where he spent happy days and which promotes inclusive education, a refuge for the young man.
We do much more in the context of special education, but inclusive education aims to be all-encompassing. It relies on a triptych including Braille, sign language, and orthopedagogy.
Snake children, totems, sacrifice children, these are some of the labels assigned to them in our Cameroonian society, even though they did not choose to be born with such a disability and despite awareness-raising efforts.
You have your child, and you're in a supermarket, and you see a child with a particular need. If your child starts mocking them, that's an opportunity, for example, to say, no, he is a child just like any other. You don't need to mock him. These kids are going through real challenges. It is this kind of tolerance that we need to learn, and we need it.
The young teenager has not let prejudice and failure bring him down. On the contrary, he has no intention of giving up and continues to search for ways and means to pass his exams and eventually obtain his high school diploma to start his professional life. Like him, many young people hold on to the hope that one day things will change and that the laws adopted for children with disabilities will truly be implemented. They also hope that schools will adopt an inclusive system and that the state will ensure their future by guaranteeing an adapted education, training teachers, and improving access to exams.